The weather pattern around the corner is getting extremely concerning, everybody. Now, we still have Tropical Storm Bertha. I have some new updates on that. And the latest trend, as a matter of fact, pretty concerning as well. We still have that flooding threat from all the training coming towards the mid-Atlantic still. And I'm showing now with confirmation from the data that as we go towards later on that this is going to happen again along the East Coast. So all the cooler temperatures y'all have for this morning, enjoy them. They're going to be there all week. Unfortunately, this heat is going to move as we go next week, and it's showing further towards the east. Very strong temperatures going all the way from 110 towards 115 degree heat indices, going even further towards the east, everybody. But first, let's start over here with our latest tropical update with Big Bertha. So right now we have tropical storm warnings out, and this is dark blue line from the Florida Panhandle still into Alabama, Mississippi, around Louisiana. But over here, as we go from New Iberia and westward all the way into Texas, we have tropical storm watches out. Now, these will turn into warnings as the system gets a little bit closer. Now, if you look at the latest track guidance, you can see that it's at a split, a 50-50 that's going this way or is going this way. Still showing that west-southwest pull would more likely be the forecast, so remember that. But another thing that's going on is while it's getting all this shear still all the way from the north, keeping all these thunderstorms lopsided. So we have your lower level center right over here along the coast of Louisiana, but our upper level is way over here where all these thunderstorms is getting pushed off. So it's still not vertically stacked, but you can see a tropical storm force wind field of sustained winds, 39 miles per hour, all the way towards 73. Barely hits the coast of Alabama, don't even really hit over here towards Mississippi, and it goes right over here towards Lafourche Parish for Louisiana and up the West Bank still. But now it could affect over here towards Texas, and the latest trend is quite concerning. What it's showing is that while it's getting all this shear pushed off on these thunderstorms, that is trying to get its new center of location right underneath all this convection, and if it does that, is going to be able to take off rather quickly. Still is going to have shear, but it is trending now that not only the HMON model, which was the outlier, still showing it's showing too much strength. It's showing a Cat 2, maybe even a major hurricane. But it's trending with the hurricane models as well, that this could pick right back up and become a hurricane over here towards the coast of Texas. Now, this is not a definite. This is only the latest trend for this morning. There's a lot of shear still hitting this system, but you got to remember with the strength that this system is going through. It's going through very warm waters in the Gulf. Matter of fact, while it was sheared with no thunderstorms, it still raised strength from that 50 to that 60 miles per hour sustained winds, even without thunderstorms around the center. So the very warm waters creates a lot of convection, and it does a lot for these tropical entities. Now, this means afternoon updates is back on, so we'll see you again this afternoon for the latest update of what's happening with Bertha. Now, right now, the shape of Bertha, it is moving west at 6 miles per hour. It's feeling that tug from that ridge very strongly. But another thing that happens is all these thunderstorms over here on the southern side, it tries to do a tug more southern as we get a lot of bursts over here of thunderstorms trying to create another center. So I think it's going to create a little bit more of a southern tug, and if it relocates its surface low over here over this group of thunderstorms, it's going to create a whole new problem for Texas. Now, the latest forecast still shows it's going to interact with land, it's going to weaken down, and your wind's going to go all the way down towards 46 miles per hour sustained winds, which is still pretty powerful, the sustained winds. And it's going to be that onshore flooding still as this comes across. Then as it goes further towards the west, showing over here towards Texas, still going to have 39 miles per hour sustained winds, while you're still getting some chances for the onshore flooding. Even the storm surge has moved. But you can see the latest update, the official forecast with National Hurricane Center still showing this will be a tropical storm as 1 p.m. for tomorrow going towards Texas. Showing additional rainfall rates has lightly gone down because this is going to take that southern track. Remember, when it starts getting strong thunderstorms, it's going to tug this a little bit further southward, everybody. I do believe that. Still showing 1 to 2 inches over here in the light green for Louisiana, but starting to get heavier over here for Texas as all this shifts towards the west. That could be even more if this intensifies even more. You have 1 to 2 inches in the light green, 2 to 4 possibly in the dark green. Storm surge still to come. Remember, we have the onshore flooding still. You got 1 to 2 feet all the way from the Florida Panhandle, 1 to 3 feet over here towards Alabama, and still 2 to 4 feet from Louisiana going towards Mississippi. You even have 1 to 3 feet over here for Lake Pontchartrain. So be aware if you're in New Orleans or on the North Shore. Plus, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge is continuing across southern Louisiana into Texas as well. And you can even see that National Hurricane Center is even talking about this, everybody. So Bertha's future likely depends on if the circulation remains along the Gulf Coast or if it attempts to reform further south under the convection bursts of the northwestern portion of the Gulf. So they are stuck in the middle of whether it's going to stay right on that course like they're saying, or is it going to continue and take those southern convection bursts and recirculate as low pressure. Now that would create big problems. It would tug further south into the Gulf. It'd be on the western side of the Lou current, but very warm Gulf waters. Now, this would be a big issue if this continues. In fact, when you go by the latest intensity guidance, you can see that a lot of these are seeing that uptick of intensity as we go through today into tomorrow. But only 1 or 2 is taking it very strong, and usually that would be the outlier. But as of right now, that's actually trending, everybody. Showing with our upper level winds that we're still getting the winds going across on the northern, especially northwestern side of the storm system. But as you go further towards the west, even though the Euro does not show what the hurricane models is showing, either way, if this does try and strengthen over here and recirculate its center, it would get some shear on the northern and western side. So if it gets itself strong before this, then it could be a problem. If it tries really late, it's probably going to have a big issue. But from what we've seen from the history of Bertha, even without thunderstorms around the center with these very warm waters, it has a good circulation to this storm, and it could be a big problem anyway, everybody. Now, I want you to see this because the latest trend with the hurricane models is showing as we go by for Thursday morning, later tonight, early into the morning, that it could relocate its center under the convection of the storms, and we could be looking at a Cat 1 hurricane. You can see this with the Model A. You can see this with Model B showing 4 o'clock in the morning, showing a Cat 1 hurricane. And of course, you can see this with the H-Mon, which never let it go, but it really intensifies it, which is a bit concerning. But they're all agreeing by the time we go towards tomorrow morning, this storm more likely will relocate its center and it will strengthen further south and become a hurricane in the Gulf, everybody. Now, of course, I'm going to update you again this afternoon, and we're going to see if this trend is continuing. Now, with the H-Mon trending, we need to see what further it says, and it is actually showing an even worse case scenario, showing it could go towards a major hurricane, where it goes towards 111 miles per hour, 115 miles per hour, sustained winds, as it's going towards Texas. This is what we need to pay attention to. I think that with the temperatures, if it had a center, yeah, of course, it could get this degree of intensity, but still, it must get its center of location underneath those storms before it goes further towards the west and runs out of time. So once again, this is very concerning, but I will keep you updated. Showing Weather Prediction Center for the next 5 days, a lot of rainfall coming. This is putting you into that moderate stage, and you can see the rainfall coming towards Texas according to the Weather Prediction Center. Now, if this starts intensifying and getting more involved, you can see the rainfall coming towards Texas, bringing it 2 to 3 inches further south and further inland all the way into northern Mexico. And this is going to be part of our weather pattern change of what's coming next. So here's your latest updates. As we go through this week, remember we still have the heat along the west and the central U.S., and we have the cool down from the Great Lakes out through the Northeast. I know y'all are really enjoying that. It's going to be here all week. As we go towards the weekend, this is where it's going to push towards the east with the heat into next week. So this is where it comes further across the central and the eastern U.S. as far as it can go before we still get that storm system of that next troughing at the end of the month. That right there is trending also. And you can see this here from the latest data. So your latest P&A, Pacific North American pattern, showing which kind of pattern we're going into. Still showing we're going to leave that big heat dome from the west, from that positive pattern, all the way through the 20s, where this is going to bring the heat further across the central and the eastern U.S., just like I've been updating you. But at the same time, you can see the latest updates. Right after that, We're getting that ridging come right back across towards the end of the month, which will bring another trough of cooler air towards the eastern U.S., which could bring another flood threat almost in the same regions. But at the same time, the heat dome is going to move back towards the west. So remember, everybody, when you have a positive PNA, you get that high ridge on the west, but you get that trough of storms and cooler weather from the central towards the east. So your heat on the west is going to move towards the central and the eastern United States. Then it's going to come back towards the west as well. Now you can see this when you look at your jet stream, your 200 millibar winds. We have that troughing coming through all the way to the early 20s. We got that big heat dome still sitting there. But after we go by this weekend into next week, this is where that heat dome grows and goes further towards the east. Very strong heat indices, 110 to 115 degree feels like temperatures. Then you can see as we go towards the end of the month, that troughing trying to come back again. That is trending, but it's trending a little bit further towards the east. So this big heat dome is going to ridge up and come all the way across. So be aware, we do have the heat coming right after this cool down. And it's a nice cool down. I'm sure you're enjoying it. Big 10 to 15 degrees below average. Maybe even some places getting towards the high teens, up towards almost 20 degrees below average as we go through the rest of this week while you got that heat dome growing. Then you can see it comes all the way across this weekend, across the north central, bringing very strong temperatures and heat indices all the way towards Sunday, where you have it 30 to 35 degrees above average for this time of year, everybody. Then that moves across as we go through for next week, bringing the heat all the way towards the southeast. Then next weekend, here comes that cool down right back again in the same locations pretty much. So this is a weather pattern we're going into for the rest of July, going into August. Plus, to update on our severe weather for today. Yesterday, we had 9 tornado reports and over 300 wind damage and wind gust reports. Right now, sitting at over 100,000 homes without power. Ohio has almost 15,000, West Virginia 28,000, and Virginia at 16,000. So there's a lot of power outages for this morning. Now for today, we still have the tornado threat. We have 2% over here for Maine, also over here along the mid-Atlantic. So here's your cities and states at risk for the tornado threat for today. Now this is also bringing some winds, even some lower winds over here across the central and the western U.S. So here's your cities and states at risk for the wind threat for today. Showing that as we go through early this morning, the storms are going to continue from eastern Tennessee, going through Virginia and across the Delmarva. And you can see chances for your tornadoes. You have a good chance right here from North Carolina going towards Virginia across the Delmarva. But we also have chances for tornadoes later on this evening and possibly as we get the banding coming across for Texas. So be aware of that if you're in Texas. Showing on the latest run that these storms will continue as you go through the evening, still trending over the same locations. And as we go through early into the morning, it's still going to be there, go a little bit lower. Now it's affecting North Carolina, really strong, and upstate South Carolina. But look at the banding that comes across over here for Texas as you go through the evening, showing you could get a tornado threat with those storm cells. So be aware if you're over here in Houston or even over in Galveston for this evening. Now these storms will continue early into the morning. This is where it transitions from northern Georgia across South Carolina and North Carolina. And that is just going to keep your flooding threat going. Plus you can see all the surge that's coming through over here for Louisiana as you go through tomorrow morning, moving further west as you go through for Thursday evening. So be aware of that as well. Onshore flooding and chances for a tornado along the coast. So far showing 40 and 50 miles per hour wind gusts is possible, strengthening up as it goes across the Delmarva, so the southern tip of Maryland. Be aware of that. And 40 and 50 miles per hour wind gusts still coming with Bertha. Now for today, for our flash flooding, we do have the marginal with a big slight risk across the western U.S. And for tomorrow, this is going to turn into a marginal and it's going to move more towards the central U.S. with your chances for flash flooding. But over here along the southeast, you have it over here along the coast for the south, for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Panhandle, Florida, a marginal for flash flooding. Watch out for the storm surge. But we have this big slight risk that's continuing all the way towards North Carolina and Virginia with a moderate level risk for flash flooding. This is where it's going to get really heavy, so be aware of the flooding. It's going to be there for tomorrow as well. As it goes later tonight into tomorrow, all this is going to lower down just like I just showed you. So you have the slight risk all the way from Birmingham all the way towards North Carolina and Virginia. But this moderate level risk will go further south. So be aware of all this flooding for today and for tomorrow. Even as you go through for Friday, is going to be there all the way from Missouri, all the way across the southeast for your flash flooding. So please be aware. Now, the last piece of information I have for you is your temperatures and what you're going to see, everybody. So as we go through this weekend, this is where it's going to build and this is where it's going to move. So your temperatures is going to be all the way from the south, from 100 towards 105 degrees, all the way towards the north from Montana towards the Dakotas, over 105 degrees, and very hot over here across the southwest. This is your summer. It is kicking in, even 100 degrees kicking in all the way towards Idaho. Now remember, with our heat index value, everything is going to be a lot worse with your temperatures. So for this Saturday, you're going to feel like over 100 to 105, maybe even 110 degrees in a lot more areas all the way towards the southeast into Florida. So comparing the Euro with the GFS, you can see almost the same thing, but it takes those heat indices a lot stronger towards the Midwest. So please be aware of this heat that's going to be on the move as we go through this weekend and next week. Here is Sunday. These are your temperatures taken in the shade. You can see with your heat index value going even further north now. Over 110 towards 115 degree. Feels like temperatures climbing all the way towards the north. Now, it's not just one model. This is a Euro. This is the GFS. It even takes that further towards the east, everybody, towards Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio Valley, across the Great Lakes, bringing very strong heat indices. Now, the last shot I got for you is Monday. This is going right towards 6 days. Remember, this lasts even longer. So your temperatures for Monday, these are your temperatures. Plus your heat index value have gotten a lot worse, a lot bigger, covering a lot more area, everybody. Now, this is the Euro. This is the GFS. It is trending something really big. It's about to come across with all this heat. So like I said in the beginning of the video, this weather pattern is getting extremely concerning, everybody. So a lot of heat coming across, a lot of very strong heat indices. Remember, this is going further towards the east. Remember the data. The data is never wrong, everybody. Please prepare for the heat. I know a lot of you don't know what to do because you're just in it all the time. All you can do is make sure you hydrate early. That's the best thing you can do. Now, when I used to be a bricklayer in Louisiana, I used to pass out because it gets so hot from all the heat. But if you take some salt tablets, if you're out there working, it will help you. So please watch out for everything I said in this video. The heat coming, the flooding that's going to be there still persisting, and what could happen with Bertha. I will see you again for this afternoon for another update. I'm not going to leave you like this. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support. And help me get this information out to others, everybody. Even if Bertha goes as forecasted and stays weak and the trend changes, we still have this flooding threat and we still have all this heat that is coming. And that is a lot of heat. So just make sure you're ready, everybody. Anything can change at any given time. Just make sure you're ready for unexpected things to come around the corner. I will keep you updated. Before I go, a quick word from our Father. Speaking of unexpected things, Luke 12:40. Be ye therefore ready also, for the Son of Man cometh at an hour when ye think not. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. I will keep you updated. Once again, I'll see you this afternoon. I'm going to wait for the latest information, so I have all the information for you. So be on the lookout for that video. Remember, above all things, all glory does go to God, our Father in heaven, Yahweh. And I always hope He keeps you safe every single day of your life and forever. Amen. Hallelujah. Amen. Have a great day, everybody. Once again, I will keep you updated.